Alright, so I've got a little bit of explaining to do. It's been almost 2 weeks now. So before I get into the intro, I'll explain what happened. Essentially, I filmed an intro, started development on whatever part of the game that I was doing, and then I got an email saying that I got called in for an assessment and a job interview for the Met Police. So I thought, you know what, let me pause whatever I'm doing here and just focus on that because I don't. It's rare that I get an interview, so I just prepped for that every single day, trying to make sure that I don't mess up. I've done the interview now. I didn't get the job, but that's life. But yeah, that's why I've taken such a long break. So I thought, let me start this out by saying that. And then after the next, you're gonna see my intro and everything go back to normal. And then yeah, so my job now is to catch up with whatever I was doing 2 weeks ago, try to remember, jig my memory, and then just carry on. But yeah, that's the explanation why I was gone for 2 weeks. And but now I'm back. It wasn't abandoned, even though I know no one's waiting for this. I thought I'd explain that little gap there. But next you'll see my regular intro and things will be back to normal. So yeah. Right, so welcome to episode 28 of the Devlogs. We are Things are starting to come together now. So we got all of our logic done for a while now. That's been done. Or not like not finalized, but got like a good foundation there. Then we started on the visuals, and so far this is what I got for the visuals. It's pretty good. So the last devlog, as a quick recap, was working on the playfield visuals node. I've got a line 2D element that's just 4 points here, 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 and there. Got that, and then I've got like sort of this blur glow effect that I was working on trying to make. Before I had like different layers and was trying to create this sort of like light being emitted and this glow effect to kind of give it this neon look that you see in like games like Tetris Effect and stuff. But it looked a bit too flat, so I carried on working on it and chipping away, and this is what I got now. So yeah, that's what we did the last devlog, was work on this. And then if we run it, you could see what it looks like in game. It looks pretty good. So you could see, let's see if I can get there we go. So you can see with this, now it looks like it's glowing a little bit more. So we've got the line 2D border core, which is the white thing. And then we've got the border inner, which is the blue the blue line that surrounds the white core. And then that's already glowing. I've already made it like sort of pop and glow. I can't remember how I did that. I think it was to do with the canvas material. Apologies, someone rang me there, so I had to just take a quick break. So, yeah, the way it's working, I completely forgot what I was talking about before, but the way it's working, we've got the border core and the border inner, making that pop with a canvas material, I believe. Hold on. Okay, I'm not able to make that show, but let me go here. Let's go to the border core. So making it pop, yeah, with a canvas item material, we got that to mix. I think the inner is set to add, right? And then, yeah, so that's how we're doing it. Then we got the border aura, which is this here. It's a thick, line 2D as well, but essentially what I've done is just set the alpha very low and set it so that the alpha is stronger towards the center and it fades out the more it goes out to the edges. And then capped it off with these like half circles because I realized that the ends was like a little bit weird, basically the way it would like make it feel like it's glowing. So with this background line 2D, the border aura, it actually makes it feel much more um, Feels much more like robust actually, and actually makes it feels like it's glowing as well. So yeah, I like what I got here. I'm not gonna play for too long. So in terms of next is I'm happy with this. Yeah, of course there's more that I can do and there's more like little things I want to do, like maybe add particle effects or whatever. That's for later. I don't want to do too much. That's for later. I don't want to do too much. I've got a good foundation for the playfield border. That's good. Next is, so I could either go for the paddle or the ball. I think I'm going to go for the ball. The ball should be simple. I'm going to try to make it just a white ball. So right now I've just got this like little sprite. So this is the ball here. So this is the ball here, in terms of the actual collision shape, right? This circle. And I've just, this whole time, all I've had is this temporary sprite 2D set there. And obviously it's not covering everything. So in terms of the ball, I want it to be a white circle so that it's bright and that you can see it. I want it to be bright, poppy, maybe not have like the aura, but I still want it to be like feel like it's popping or glowing like the border core and the border inner as well. So I might not have this sort of glow effect that I have like that's surrounding the. I might not have the glow effect that's surrounding the uh, playful visuals. This sort of I can't speak, man. I might not for the ball. I might not have this sort of border aura, right? But I do want it to have this core and maybe the inner, the way it does pop and glow. Because even without the border aura, it feels like this is glowing. So I want the same for the ball as well. I'm going to try to do that. I'll see what I come up with. It should be easier now since that I've played around with this. I should be able to do the same thing with the ball. And yeah, so I'm going to get on with that and then we'll see what happens. All right, so that is done. Well, I've got something down. So I've got a core sprite 2D. This is the core, and this is what's always going to show for the ball. All right. I've set a texture down, so I've gotten rid of everything else. Before I had like a regular sprite 2D that was just like a debug sort of. It wasn't debug, but it was like just to see where the ball's at. While I developed the while I developed the game mechanics basically. But now since I'm on the visuals, so under the visuals node, I changed that to node 2D as well as all the other visuals. I'll explain that in a bit. And inside here, I've got the core, and then I've got a GPU particles 2D, which is the trail. All right, so I've got both aspects. Now I noticed as well, and I learned this, the hierarchy order matters. So actually it draws them in detail in sequence. So first it will actually draw the trail, then it will draw the core on top of the trail. So if I decided to have core above here, what it would do is you can see that it's pulsating because of the particles. What it would do is draw the core and then it will draw the trail on top of it, which you don't want. You want the core to be always above. So that's something to keep in mind for future. I actually didn't know that about Godot. So for the core, we've got a texture. I tried to keep this similar to sort of the colors that I'm using for the border. Again, I can play around with the colors later on, but I just wanted to get something down. So it's the same colors. I noticed that it was like very large, so I made the ball smaller and then I made the color smaller using these values. I made it smaller so that because of the brightness, it sort of already emits like a hue or like a bloom already because of the settings that I had before. So I made it smaller. Done that. Did I do anything else? I thought I added the material to it, but I guess I didn't. And then for the similar to what I used for the edges of this, where I did a radial sort of thing and then cut the circle in half. In this case, I'm doing the same thing radial, except I'm not cutting it in half. I'm doing it, making it centered. And yeah, so then for the trail, I've done something similar for the texture. Just made it like a little bit smaller and made I made the like blue sort of bloom blur larger and made the white smaller. So I'm using that. I made this much smaller as well so that it's not like overpowering the ball. Set it to radial, did all this the same. Set the lifetime to 0.75. Fixed FPS. Oh, I didn't know about this actually. So I might have to tweak this later, so I'm not sure, but we'll deal with that later. Then I added a process material, particles process material. This is for the particles. Did a bunch of stuff. So gravity I set to 0, so there's no gravity to it. It just kind of like stays in space almost. Then for display scale, I got a scale curve, so it curves downwards. And if I'm not mistaken, what that's doing is the longer it's alive, it scales down slowly. Then I got a color curve, so I got a color ramp, which is the gradient, which I had up there basically. I've just applied it to this color ramp for the particles. And did I do anything else? I believe I did, but I can't seem to find it. Oh, and then I added a gradient here. Oh yeah, so I've got a gradient here, which is all like the color, and then I've got this color ramp. I'm slightly confused. Oh no, okay. Now I remember. So I set the color to my normal white color, and then color ramp I set to a more bluish hue, so that as it goes down, it's more it becomes more blue. And then made the material canvas item material, made it additive. And I thought I did one other thing, but I can't seem to find it now. Resource? No. One other thing, so I had to one of the problems I had was uh where was it? Local chords. So you can tell that I'm like really new to this stuff. So local chords, I had an issue where it wasn't sort of displaying a trail. That's because I set local chords to on, and then it basically just stuck all the particles with the ball when it was moving. So I had to set that off so that the once emitted, the particles had its own coordinates. And then we're gonna run and play it. And this is what I got now. To be honest, it's not good, and it's not definitely not going to be the final, but it's a good base point to just leave it at. So you can see that. Actually, let me just let it go. You can see that the ball's here, and then as I move it, boom, you can see that trail. It varies in size and then slowly dies off and becomes more blue as it dies off, which is a nice little feature. And then as you play, boom, goes up there, goes up there, and here we got a thing, boom. So it's pretty nice actually. I do like it. Again, this isn't the final design, but I wanted something roughly to what I'm looking for. problems I have with it is I don't like this trail design. So I'm gonna leave it as is, and I'm gonna move on to the paddle next. But I do want to keep some notes about where the final design's going when I get back to this. What I'm gonna do. I don't like this. It's too close. It's not what I'm really looking for. It's basically in the same ballpark, but I want a sort of tail trail, a little bit of that, and then also little particles like this I also do want, but maybe smaller than this and more spread out and more varied as it's going along. Another thing, or maybe it's a bit too bright as well, so that's something I could work on. Another thing is I don't want it to be working whilst in serve mode. I'm sure I can dig into the code and turn it off for when the ball's serving, and then once it's hit, um, then it gets turned on basically. And then another thing, if I can do it on cue, and then the last thing that I want to do, that I want to keep note of, is I can't do it. I'm trying to do a super shot. There we go. Super shot. You see here, it actually kept the trail that was there before, and it paused it in space. And then I aimed and then struck it. So like, let's say I struck it there, then it would obviously transport the ball there, and then bounce off of that, and then start creating the trail there. What I want to do for later on when I get into more of the details of the trail is once it's a super shot, get rid of the trails that already exist, and then once the super shot ha obviously the ball's going to transport over there, and then have some sort of trail already here to sort of signify, oh, the ball has traveled through this space. Because without those trails, it does feel like it's transported rather than it's traveled very fast. Um, but that's enough for the ball. Like I said, I don't want to do too much. I want to just get the overall feel and design within the right space rather than actually like really trying to refine it, because I'm gonna refine it later. I'm very happy with the core. The core is most likely gonna stay the same or stay very similar because I like the way it's like sort of just emitting out, and it does feel like it's glowing. It does feel like it's glowing, but not too much. Not like the playfield visuals, but it feels very bright, and yeah, it feels like as a player you know that's the main thing, and you're not going to be able to take your eyes off the ball. Almost feels like a star, to be honest. So that's good. I like the ball core. What I will do later on, once I get my other visuals sorted out, is sort out the trail. So the trail's not really where I want. I'm gonna add a tail to it, and then I'm gonna make the trail a little bit smaller, and then I'm gonna tweak through the code how it acts in serving and how it acts inside of super shots. But for now, this is good, and I'm gonna leave this there. So in terms of next I'm gonna do the paddle. So once I do this, I won't need the paddle debug thing with the paddle. I want it to be bright. I'm not sure if I want it to be white or a different color. I'll try to think about that. But I want it to be bright, but I don't want it to be too bright. So with the ball and with the playfield borders, with the playfield borders here, and with the ball, it's bright, it's glowy neon. I'm not sure if I want the paddle to be that. Maybe I do want it to be bright and noticeable, but I don't want it to glow, to have this like sort of glow effect. I'd rather not have that. I'd rather the player knows exactly, okay, this is where I strike the ball. I'm gonna try to do that. Is there anything else with the paddle that I need to do? I don't want like to show the area where a super shot is allowed. I just want it to be done by feel. Anything else with the paddle? No. No, I'm gonna try to do that. Oh, maybe the laser. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the laser now. Definitely do want to tweak that. But for now, I'm going to try to do the paddle. Try to make it bright but not glowing. And I don't want it to be white. Also, that's going to overlap with the ball. So I want it to be sort of translucent, actually. The translucent would be better. And to indicate clearly through the color of the paddle the charge. That's going to be interesting. I'm not sure if to indicate with the color. Let me try to draw this out. So we've got our paddle here. So I want the paddle to be here. I want it to show like this, but I want it to be sort of translucent. And then as you charge, you've got this here. Let's say that's actually, let's go back. How do I go back? Let's say that's here. We'll close this off. That should be good. And then let's say we've got this. And this. These aren't going to be the final colors, but something to keep in mind. So we'd have this here, so as you charge, this sort of goes up and then it fills up with that color. Once you let go, it goes down, obviously revealing this color more. And my gut instinct is to make them the same color, just different alphas. So make this more translucent so you can see the background more, and make this much more solid. Make this color more solid, the same color but just solid, so that you can actually see it as you're charging. Oh no, I want to flip that. No, I want to flip that. So we've got this, because as you're charging. Oh no, do I want to flip that? No, let's forget about that. Sorry about this. I'm still trying to figure out how to do all of this. So we got this. We've got this. This is the paddle. And what I'm gonna have is all of this is the same color. Let's say it's that yellow color, right? But then as you charge it unanimously within the paddle, the alpha becomes more. So first it begins translucent, transparent, not completely transparent, but translucent. So you can see that the paddle is there. And then as you charge it unanimously throughout the whole paddle, the alpha grows and then becomes completely solid once the charge is full. And yeah, to make sure that it's bright, not the same color as the ball, to make sure it's bright but not glowing. Those are the three keys. So I'm gonna try to do that, and then we'll see what I end up doing. Right, so 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks later than expected, but we're took a while to sort of rejig my memory, go through it. What was I doing before, trying to get it done. This is gonna be the end, by the way. Let me just mute that up quickly. But anyways, yeah. So I was just getting back into grips with, is that even a saying? I don't even know. Getting back into grips with what I was doing. Realized, okay, I was working on paddle visuals, trying to get the visuals sorted. So we've got a bunch of export variables there. Got the paddle color and rim color, so the rim's obviously going to be lighter. Then we got these for fully charged stuff. Oh no, this is the minimum fill for the alpha. So when it's at like a 0% charge, it will be 0.06 alpha. Then max fill alpha is 0.45. Min rim alpha, that's for the rim, is 0.15. And then for full charge pulse, so what I have is once it's at 100%, it's gonna like sort of pulse to indicate to the user that you're fully charged. So we got pulse speed 10f, rim width 3f, and pulse width bonus 2f. That means the width for um, the rim, I believe, gets extended for the pulse to make it seem better. So we got paddle and time. Getting the parent of paddle, so getting the reference, and we're just tracking the time through delta through process, and then we're queuing the redraw. We did the same. If you remember, we was doing that same thing with when I had the debug draw for the paddle. So anyways, we got draw. Let me talk about build wedge points first. So apparently this is like something that shows up. I don't know if I explained this before or not, but I might as well explain it now. So I don't know. I think what happens is there's not a way to draw something like a polygon like a wedge shape. So what it's got to do is gather some points and then create arc segments itself. And so that's what that's doing, is sort of building that sort of arc shape and that wedge. And then we got the draw methods, which is being called on queue redraw. So we got the radius, the charge, constantly pulling it from the paddle methods and their public methods, obviously. So we got fully charged equals charge if charge is greater than or equal to 1. And charge can never go above 1, obviously. So if it's 100% charge, it will be 1. Got pulse equals fully charged. So if it is fully charged, then mathf dot sign. Don't know what this mumbo jumbo is doing, but it sort of gives me that pulse speed that I'm looking for. And if it's not fully charged, then the pulse is at 0, so it's not pulsing. So this is just saying if it's fully charged, pulse. If it's fully charged, pulse. If not, don't pulse. And then we're grabbing the half wedge facing angle start angle, end angle. We did the same thing here. Oh, I wish I could find it. Here we go. Did the same thing here. So it's not anything new for this part. I've got some to-dos here which I'll explain later. We got the fill alpha, which is lerp from minimum alpha to max alpha and base it on the charge. The fill is paddle color with whatever the fill alpha that I've just set as the alpha. I decided to do it like this because through asking Claude, I was doing it a different way, sort of setting it in ready as I was doing like this. Paddle color dot a equals let's say 0.05. Yeah, right. So let's say I wanted the alpha for the paddle color to be 0.05. I was saying it like this. Apparently that there's like a delay when you do that where it's actually changing it a frame before, which isn't a big deal, but it's better not to do it this way. The best way to do it is say paddle color with and set the alpha like this. So that's one thing that I learned. We've got draw colored polygon build wedge points, and then this is just drawing that actual wedge with the radius, start angle, end angle, and the fill. And this is for the rim. Rim width is the rim width export variable I've got up there, plus the pulse times pulse width bonus. Rim alpha, this is for to show it pulsing basically. And the rim is rim color with set the alpha to the rim alpha. And this is for the first edge, second edge, and then we're drawing the both lines on the arc. So yeah, that's what I've got. Let's show it. I don't need to show my controller because it's going to take up some space. So this is what I got. Looks alright. See that the ball is being drawn on top, which is good. And it's a bit dull right now, but you can still see it. And then obviously as you hold the trigger, actually you know what, I should show my controller. There we go. So when I hold the trigger, you can see it's getting brighter, 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 and then once it's done, it pulses. And I actually really like that it doesn't bloom before the charge, but it does bloom for the pulse. That's a really nice touch actually. And that's obviously because of the values that were set. So we got that. And I kind of like it. It looks a bit flat, if I'm being honest, which I'll get onto in a bit. But I kind of like it. It's like a nice visual indicator while you're playing that, you know, my paddle is being charged. There we go. And obviously, like later on, I will want to have some sort of visual indicator along the rails as well. That's good. In terms of what I noticed about this, I did make some notes. So this is for the next episode. It's going to be the end of the episode here. I'm happy with what I've done. I'm not sure if this is going to be a long episode or a short episode because I'm not sure how much work I did before, how much filming, or whether I even explained anything or not. So I'm going to end it because I think the main thing about this episode, this devlog, is just pumping something out, getting back into the swing of things, and then tomorrow I can actually like really start like grinding away and actually get my hands dirty with this stuff. So I'm happy with what I got. For the next episode, I will talk. For the next episode, there's stuff like this. So I've got to do here. Might need to change these hard-coded value. Okay, I don't need to do that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So, because before I didn't, all I had was hard-coded values, but now I've got these export values. All right, that's good. Yeah, so the things that I did notice that I need to tweak for the next devlog is the core color seems a little dull. So let me show it. Turn this off. So you see here, obviously I don't mind it being dull at 0% charge, but even when I'm charging it, boom, the rim, perfect, good. I like the rim, keep that. But maybe I feel like the color for the wedge is a bit flat. So I'm not sure if I want to add some sort of texture, some sort of gradient or something. It just doesn't pop like I have like these rails here that are popping and the rim here that's popping. The inside doesn't feel like it's like there, you know what I mean? Or the ball's popping as well, you know what I mean? So there's that. Let's give this. So there's that. We got outer glow is a very crisp outline. Would like it to be smudged or blurred, so it does blur at 100%, and that's actually better. So I don't need that. And then the other thing is for the white edge of paddle, the vertices overlap. This means they have a higher alpha than the rest of the paddle edge. makes it look weird. Let me show you what this looks like. So I'm not sure if you'd be able to see this. The vertices here, so this point, this point, this point, they actually overlap, and it makes these edges, these points look much brighter than the rest of the thing. So if I manage to keep it below 30%, it won't shoot. But if you can see here, that essentially what they are lines with its own alpha, but because they're intersecting, the alphas are being applied, uh, added onto each other. Therefore, it's much more brighter. It's not an issue if you go to like higher brightness values like here. You're not able to tell, obviously. So this is fine. But for lower alpha values, it stacks on top of each other. So I want to figure out a way to fix that because it feels a bit unpolished, if I'm being honest. But those are stuff for the next devlog episode. Like I said, I'm not sure if I've done a lot or a little today, but I want to pump something out, get back into the swing of things after my failed interview. And yeah, so this is good. I'm gonna pump this out, edit it, upload, and then I should have a devlog the next day, so that I'm starting to get more consistent with this. Thank you for watching. Take care. See you later.